Hi, I'm Mary Fairhurst, and I started healthy cooking and sharing it with people in Sun City, Summerlin because of a health issue I had of my own. So the recipes today are the most popular ones I've done so far, so let's get started. This is 8 ounces of chickpeas, also known as garbanzo beans. And small chickpeas work the best. They're about the size of a green pea. And this is what they look like when you buy them from the store. I get mine at Sprouts in the bulk section. And again, the recipe calls for 8 ounces. Next, you want to soak the chickpeas for at least 12 hours. And this is what they look like after being soaked. They're soaked in salt water. And the salt water helps to take the skins off of the chickpeas. So once they've been soaked for 12 hours, we're simply going to drain them. No need to save the water. And because they've been in salt water, I rinsed them. Any of the salt residue really will come off. And we're ready to move to the next step, which is cooking them. So this is 10 cups of water, filtered water, and this is 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. The baking soda in the water helps to soften the chickpeas. We're simply going to take the chickpeas and put them in the water and boil them for 45 minutes. Once the boiling has completed, then we move on to the next step of draining and blending. So I will come back to that at a later time. Hi, this is the chickpeas boiling, and you can see that it's got a lot of foam on it. You don't want the heat up too high so that it boils over. The foam is coming up because of the baking soda that's in there. So once you have it boiling, you want to turn it down where it continues to boil, but not at a high rate, and set your timer for 45 minutes. And while this is cooking, let's move on to a super easy recipe. This is what is called an Instant Pot. This is an electric version of what you probably saw in your grandmother's home, with a pressure cooker that was on the stove that had a little dial on the top of it that would whistle. These are probably the greatest invention lately. And I use my Instant Pot all the time. Instant Pot is a brand, so there are several pressure cookers out there. This happens to be the one that I chose, and I love it. So this recipe for lunch, for dinner, or to make it and put it in a salad is just super easy. All we're going to do is take the lid of the pressure cooker off. Inside, we have a trivet inside where everything's going to sit on that trivet. First thing we're going to do is put in 2/3 of a cup of water, filtered water. You have to have liquid in a pressure cooker for it to do its job. We're going to put, this is frozen salmon. It is frozen solid. And we're going to place that on the trivet. We're then going to squeeze about 1/2 of a lemon over the salmon. And we're going to put a couple of slices of lemon over the top of the salmon. And sprinkle with a little dill weed. Oop. A little more than I like. That's all right. It will come off. All right. Now, all you do is put the lid on the pressure cooker, and you'll hear it make sounds. The lid's gone on. Turn it to close. And on here it's hard to read, but it does say close to the left, open to the right. And this is the venting and sealing valve. So when you close it, you want this in the middle. And then you just set it for the number of minutes that you want. So this recipe only takes 3 minutes. So we take the timer down to 3 and we let it go. It will come to pressure. Once it comes to pressure, it will start counting down from 3 minutes. When it gets to 0 minutes, it will go into a keep warm mode. And then I'll show you how we release the pressure and it will be done. So 3 minutes from frozen, a poached salmon in the Instant Pot. That's it. And this is how it should be simmering, and it'll get a little more than that with the lid on and just cracked a hair, so it continues to boil for the 45 minutes. While the salmon is finishing cooking on its 3 minutes in the Instant Pot, we're going to prepare the next dish, which is also going to be cooked in the Instant Pot. And this is chicken cacciatore. So if you don't like to eat meat, you can certainly make a vegetarian version. So this is 2 yellow peppers and 1 red pepper cut into bite-sized pieces. And this is 1 onion, also cut into bite-sized pieces. And this is 4 chicken breasts, also cut into bite-sized pieces. So there isn't a lot of prep on this. This is really easy. This is called a dump start recipe in an Instant Pot. And by that, what we mean is you dump everything in, you hit start, and that's the end of it. So in addition to these 3 ingredients, we're going to use 1 jar of your favorite pasta sauce. It can be any pasta sauce that you like. This one happens to be a lower sodium one. You can actually make your own pasta sauce if you like. And this is 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder, and this is 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. In addition to that, we're going to add this with a 1/2 cup of water to the Instant Pot for cooking, and it takes approximately 3 minutes for this to cook in the Instant Pot. Yes, and the chicken has not been pre-cooked, so it's pretty amazing that you can cook that fast in an Instant Pot. So we're waiting for the salmon to finish, and then we'll move on and put this in the Instant Pot and we'll be ready to go. All right, we're going to check in on our chickpeas. So they are boiling nicely. And they've got a few minutes left to go. Meanwhile, we'll check on our poached salmon in the Instant Pot. It's ready to go. It has counted down and began its warming mode. So it's been 1 second on warming. So to release the valve, I always like to use something and not my hand, because steam is going to come out of this. And sometimes it's more dramatic than that. There's a lot more steam depending on how many ingredients you have in there. So there's little steam here because of the number of ingredients. So the next thing is to open it. And be very careful because it is hot, even though it may not look that hot. And there is our poached salmon. You can put your lemon on the top, and it's beautifully done. Again, 3 minutes from frozen. and you have a wonderful poached salmon. So, since that's done and we have more time to go on the chickpeas, let's go on to the next recipe, which is Instant Pot Chicken Cacciatore. I'm going to empty the Instant Pot. Give it a good cleaning because there's salmon residue in there. I've finished cleaning out the Instant Pot from the salmon. You want to clean it really well so you don't have any of that salmon flavor or residue from the salmon recipe. And now we're going to move right into chicken cacciatore. So again, I do have the trivet inside. And in this recipe, I have a half a cup of filtered water in the bottom. And then I'm going to put the chicken. So again, this is 4 chicken breasts that are cut into bite-sized pieces. So we have the chicken. I'll follow that with onions and peppers, all cut into bite-sized pieces. And you can obviously cut this recipe in half if there's only 2 people and you don't want to have a lot of leftovers. So basically we're just going to put in our garlic powder and our chili powder. And use as little or as much chili powder as you like to your taste. If you like it spicy, use a lot of chili powder. I would start out with a little bit first so that you don't have too much in there. 1 jar of your favorite pasta sauce or homemade. Just pour it over the top. Everything's nice and coated. And that is it. I'm going to take this now and put it back in the Instant Pot. Put the lid on again. Again, make sure that this is set for sealing, as you want it to seal. Then we're going to start it by hitting, in this version of Instant Pot, you hit manual, and it's already set to 3 minutes, so we just leave it. So 3 minutes, we'll have completely cooked chicken cacciatore. We're checking on our chickpeas to make sure that they are simmering nicely. And we've got about 16 minutes to go now on those before they're ready to make into hummus. This is our chicken cacciatore. It is getting up to temperature, so it's doing its thing. So let's make good use of our time and let's make a delicious dessert. This is a chocolate tahini truffle. And so it's super easy. We're going to take 8 ounces of bittersweet chocolate. You can either buy chocolate bar and make it into chunks. I use the chocolate chips. We're going to use 1 cup of tahini. Tahini comes in different types. So there are some that are highly roasted and the tahini is a little darker. So if you're not familiar with tahini, it is a sesame seed paste. This happens to be a very mild brand of tahini that I like, and I use the same brand in my hummus. So this is the same one. And this is honey. This is 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of honey. And 1 teaspoon or more, I like a little bit more, so this is orange zest. So just take 1 orange and zest it. This is ground cinnamon. And that's about 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. And then this is 1 tablespoon of flax seeds and 2 teaspoons of chia seeds. This is your healthy addition to this recipe. And I don't put in any salt. I find that the recipe doesn't call for it. It doesn't need it. It does fine without it. So we're just going to mix this up, get it really well mixed, and then we're going to stick it in the microwave until everything is melted. So you can see it comes together quite nicely. And we'll stir again once we start heating it. I like to do the heating in 30-second segments. You don't want to overheat the mix. You just want to heat it so that it is perfect for laying out truffles. So we'll put that in here, and we'll do 30 seconds. And we'll wait for it to finish. All right, let's take it out and stir it up. This might take a few times. You can see that the chocolate is starting to blend nicely in with the rest of the ingredients. So it's really important to do it in segments. Do it in short little spurts because it's not going to take too much longer and it's going to be the consistency that we're looking for. All right. I think on this one, I'm going to do 20 seconds on this one. I don't think it needs a full 30. All right, let's take a look at our chocolate. And it's beautiful. It's warm enough that it's all blending very nicely. Make sure that you scrape the bottom so that you get anything that's just gone to the bottom. And we're ready. We're going to put this in a pan. I like to use a small cake pan, and we're just going to put this in here so that it can go in the refrigerator and it can chill. So spread it a little evenly throughout the pan. Looks beautiful, doesn't it? And we are ready to put it in the refrigerator. I'm going to shorten the time by putting it in the freezer. And when it comes out, then we'll make our truffles. So carefully take them over and drain them, but the most important step here is that you want to save the cooking water. So I have a strainer in the sink and a pot underneath that so that I can save the cooking water. And we're going to let them drain just a little bit and get some of that cooking water. So we'll give them a stir. Just to get the excess water out of them. And you can see they've got some of the skins. That's perfectly okay. We're going to take them and put them into the food processor. And we're ready to blend. So the first thing you want to do when you put this back on the food processor stand is sprinkle, this is 1 teaspoon of salt. And I just sprinkle it throughout. And put the lid on. There's a nice safety feature with food processors. They will not blend unless everything is on properly. So we're going to put it on 1 and we're going to blend it for a full 3 minutes. Blending them while they are hot is key, as well as the length of time. So 3 minutes is also very important to have a nice creamy hummus. So here we go. All right, it's been 3 minutes and it's done blending for the first time. And now it's time to add one of the 3 ingredients. This is 3/4 of a cup of tahini. Again, that's a sesame seed paste. This is a mild one. Simply add it to your food processor. And then we're going to blend it for about another minute until the tahini is worked in well. All right, we need to do it for about a minute, but we need to make sure that we scrape the sides of the food processor so everything gets well blended. And then we are going to turn it back on. Now the next set is while the machine is running. So I'm going to tell you what we're going to do before I do it. So while the machine is running, you'll see that it has this little spout. The first thing we're going to add is 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. And then we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of the cooking water that we saved from boiling the chickpeas. You ready? Here we go. We're going to turn it off one last time, and we're going to scrape the sides again to make sure that everything is well blended. Nothing sticking to the bottom and nothing sticking to the sides. That's not getting into the hummus. And it's coming together very nicely. And our hummus is done. It is so creamy, it is not like a store-bought hummus, and you will see why. It pours right out of your food processor. It has a wonderful consistency, and it will firm up as it cools. But basically, it creates 4 cups of hummus. So now we're going to serve our chicken cacciatore. We're going to release any remaining pressure, which there isn't a lot at this point because it's been cooking and cooling down. So as soon as we can, we're going to open the pressure cooker, and you can see it's still bubbling and it is completely cooked. So what we want to do next is give it a little bit of a toss and turn. So we had the chicken on the bottom, and then we had the onions and the peppers, and we want to mix it all up. You want to make sure that your chicken is cooked to an internal temperature of 165. You want to make sure it's fully cooked. That's one of the reasons I cut them into bite-sized pieces. is because they cook faster that way. So, it's beautiful, perfectly cooked. Lots of nice chicken and peppers and onions with a wonderful pasta sauce. Again, cooking time is 3 minutes plus the time to get to pressure. And we have wonderful chicken cacciatore. And let's see how this came out. This looks delicious. Mmm. Wonderful, perfectly cooked chicken cacciatore. You might remember that we had put the tahini truffle mix in the freezer. I moved it to the refrigerator. It's been in about a total of 20 minutes. We just want that syrupy looking mix that we made with the chocolate and the tahini to harden. So then we can get a piece of it out of here and start making our truffles. And you can make them any size you want. This is ground pistachios. This is about a half a cup of ground pistachio seeds. So we're going to roll them in pistachio seeds after we make the truffle. This is a job just rolling it with your hand. I'm softening up the outside of it so it can form a little ball. And there we go. Roll it in your pistachios. And there you are, ready to eat. This will make about 2 dozen, depending on how large you make them. And you can freeze them and take them out in batches. And they're delicious and super healthy. So we have our tahini truffles. Now, remember that the tahini in this truffle mix replaces heavy cream, which is laden with fat and calories. And the tahini makes it nice and creamy and a lot less fat and calories. So, enjoy. Mmm. Delicious. All right, so this is the first of a series of recipe videos we're doing for you. Let us know what recipes you'd like to have on video. We've done many of them over the course of the last few months. Most important, make sure you wash your hands before you do any of this work and in between dishes, especially working with any meat or poultry. I usually wear gloves when I'm cooking, and especially when I'm cooking for others. But let us know, and we'll see you next time in our next batch of recipes. Thanks.